Welcome, Walnut. I'm Lara, but you can call me Laz, your host for Walnut Wednesday. This is your reminder to be brave, be yourself, and know that you can make the world a better place just by what you decide today. Here, I'm going to share my weekly walnuttings with you on a Wednesday. Hello, Walnut. It is me, Laz, here for another episode of Walnut Wednesday, and we have the brave, the beautiful, the sexy, the delicious, who smells really nice, Kate Bromley. Woo!
Hello.
Welcome back.
Thank
Walnut,
you.
if you have not met Kate before, she is my best friend, currently abroad. Actually, I'll ask you soon because I'm actually not sure, not 100% where you are right now. And Kate has been on Walnut Wednesday since it began, almost, I think it's 5 years this year will be Walnut Wednesday's 5-year birthday. And Kate visits us every 10 episodes or so, and these eps are really cool because basically Kate and I love to yap a lot. So these episodes are kind of just what we're going through at the time, and basically you're a fly on the wall for how we just chat in real life. Would you say, Kate?
Absolutely, yeah, for sure.
So, welcome, Walnut, if you're new here. And if you're not, hello, thanks for checking in again and enjoy the chat. But Kate, for the Walnuts who are new, who have not met you before, can I get you just to introduce yourself and tell us where you are at the moment? Sorry, I actually forgot to ask.
Yes, I am in London, staying with a friend, a Kiwi friend, so that's nice. But I guess, I mean, look, I'm a freelance filmmaker, even though we'll probably get into it, but work is not great, in the climate's not great for it right now, in the UK at least. And I am also just a couch surfer at the moment, thanks to some beautiful friends. So I'm a bit of a nomad and a freelance filmmaker who is trying to get some work so she can actually do those things.
Yeah. And I love that we're on this end. All of our previous episodes have been, um, we've been really celebrating and enjoying a lot of things about freelanceness and that kind of vibe. And now we're getting to hear a little bit of nitty gritty. And Walnut, in one of our previous episodes, we talked about maybe we should just have a chat mid-menty-b because Kate and I had both sort of had them and we were kind of reflecting on them. And now we're in a space where we're both kind of it's mid. We're mid. we're, we're in the middle
Yep.
of a crisis, and we thought, oh, why don't we hit record and just talk about how we're kind of surviving through this. Both obviously in different aspects of life and things. But yeah, Kate, I think our theme for today is the sort of how are we going to keep going? Um,
Yeah.
so, first of all, I just want to ask, tell me about being a couch surfer because I feel like I hit, and this might just because I'm in my condition, but I feel tired just from hearing that word. And to be fair, you've been doing this for a long time. How long have you been doing it? Because it's been a while now that you haven't had since El Camino almost,
Yeah.
up from
Yeah.
Dubai. Yeah.
No, but yeah, I've not had sort of like my own residence, like even renter's agreement since my lease ended in April 2023. So there were big chunks of time where I was more settled, like I went to New Zealand for a month and I went back at Christmas too. I was on the Camino, although that was literally all my belongings on my back in a different bed every night, but that was part of it. So it was
Yeah.
like that was different. And then yeah, couch surfing back in the UK, in Dubai. I was very lucky again to have some friends where I went over for work and they put me up for a couple months, and then I bounced around Airbnbs as well in Dubai, and was in Thailand for a while. So I had, I mean, I make it sound really great. But like I had Thailand's great because it's not too expensive. So I did have a place for like a month that was like my own for, and that was the most amount of time I've had a place in the last almost year and a half, I guess. And then when I got back to the UK most recently, which I guess was around mid-April, which is wild, maybe it was early May actually. yeah, I can't even remember now, but it's been since then that I've been bouncing around. Now, luckily, two friends of mine, or three for a while, but now at the moment two, it's a little more like I'll stay for a couple of weeks at each their place and kind of yo-yo back and forth. And I'm so grateful to them. So
Mm.
old flatmate Kate and Jess from New Zealand, rock stars.
Thank you,
And I
Kate.
feel
Thank you,
very
Kate and Jess, for looking after my Kate.
they are the best. And like they're very like the places I feel very at home. I feel very safe. I feel very like a flatmate basically. So that's nice. But no, it's hard. It's not necessarily by choice anymore, which has been frustrating.
Mm.
So I think I remember getting a little bit emotional last time I was packing up Kate's just to come to Jess's again, but it was just like looking at those bags like I don't wanna. And then I get to the next place and I feel nice again. But like yeah, but yeah, to go into the details though, it's just I've not the industry as a freelance filmmaker predominantly in like commercial branded content, social media space. There is a real crisis in the UK at the moment. It's a multitude of things no one can really quite put their finger on it. Part of it's like there was a big boom post COVID and now a big drop in work. There's cost of living. A lot of my client production companies are suffering and having to let people go, let alone think about freelancers. And so I've kind of just not had that even just like that job or a couple of bits to sort of boost me into a place where I feel like I can confidently, put my money into somewhere. Um, so, and that's a really weird thing. Thus the mid-menty-b episode, because I remember I was listening to one of our previous ones and you said, oh, I challenge us because we normally come in when it's like, what's our lessons? How do we solve it? How do we come to the decision? And even though I'm constantly thinking about it, I wouldn't say I've come to the end of this thing and how did I get through it? I would say I'm in the thick of it still.
Mm. And that's so hard. And I just wanted to touch on like you were saying, so it's been about 6 months since you've been back in the UK-ish. And that's the hard slog, right? Because when you're like living out of a bag and stuff, but you're traveling abroad, there's a difference to it. But um the UK
Yeah,
is like your home, and so you're like living out of a bag at your home, and it's weird. And yeah, so I just can't even
yeah,
imagine how hard that would be. And um the reliance on needing money or needing work,
yeah,
which has this really like sticky icky energy to it
yeah,
in general, right? And I think we talked a little bit of like manifesting and all the like really lovely, sparkly unicorn rainbow farts going on. But reality is it's difficult and it's hard. And um, how are you how are you feeling actually?
it kind of changes day to day. I'd say I was in a bit of a I guess not like a super bad way, but like I knew I was a bit negative. Like I was feeling like less inclined to check for work on the group chats I've been looking at because I just felt like it dried up and I was like, I kind of just don't want to see the absence of it, even though at any point there could be something.
Mm,
Didn't really want to apply for jobs. I noticed so many jobs, like full-time ones as well, are just they have so many red flags, either bad pay or they're asking for someone who can produce but also shoot, but also edit, which is in my industry, that's a piss take. That's three people you want to pay one person for.
mm,
Um, and or unpaid jobs, and I've heard back from those kinds of things, not realizing or not reading it properly. And so I just was a bit like, this is futile. Like I don't know. I don't like this. And also not making any moves to change the situation, like, for example, trying to buy out again or whatever. It's been in the back of my mind, and I just haven't made those steps. And that's very telling to me as well. We've talked about that whole decision making, like that painfulness of it. But it wasn't that I wasn't like, I guess my feeling was going, why? It was more like, why do I not know what to do? Because I actually do know a lot more about different areas now and things. And so I think it was just feeling like my resilience was at a low and my fragility was at a high. And and then just being kind of like So why bother getting dressed today? And now I
Yeah.
think I've turned a bit of a corner, and like I've had a chat with a good friend of mine who's in the industry as well, and she had a really tough time recently as well. And weirdly enough, us chatting together sort of ended up being quite motivating rather than a wallowing situation, because I think those feelings can be very isolating,
Yeah.
and it is a creative industry in the end of the day, and like I love what I do. And that's why I want to do it as well, because it stimulates my mind and puts all my talents at work. And I feel like at this point in my career, that should not be that hard to do.
Yeah.
But it's not really about me. So meeting someone else puts that into perspective. It's not really it's not a me problem. It's just there's a timing problem. So yeah, I mean, I feel all the things, and sometimes I'll be honest, I feel none of the things. I'm just like, there's nothing.
Yeah. Which is a strange place to be in. I mean, we were saying offline before Walnut that like also from my perspective, I'm so bad at making choices and decisions right now just because there's so many but also none at the same time. Like it's just for me in my condition, I just have to sit here. I just have to sit here and not wait, but I just have to see how I'm feeling, see what's going on, and then move or not move. And it's really wild and really hard when someone asks me a normal human question like, oh, what date suits you? Or, even like, do you want to
Yeah.
have lunch? I am so incapable because there's so much going on. Yet there's nothing going on. It's really, I'm finding it hard to articulate
Yeah.
myself, but it's a really weird, tricky spot to be sad in. And I feel like you've got the same thing going on, Kate. It's like both, but both big balls of like the different ends of the scale going on. It's
Yeah.
yeah, I can't really describe it. Do you have
I
words?
think you describe it really well because it's a weird, indescribable thing. And I think the word waiting is very apt. I think obviously you've got a literal due date or, thereabouts, and there's this thing that's going to happen that will dictate all of your decisions. And it's almost like you're saving your strength up for that, maybe to a degree, where it's like the fewer things I have to think about now is better. I don't know. I'm not obviously in that. But for
Yeah.
me, it's kind of like I'm putting feelers out there and all that, but ultimately the industry right now is what it is, and I have no control over that. And there's part of me just waiting for that to turn, like waiting for something to happen that I can actually respond to.
Mm.
Whereas right now I'm trying to just rustle up something out of nothing. I mean, I think, I'm sure. I mean, there are things out there, obviously, all that kind of stuff, but like it just feels a bit like I'd rather not. I'd rather not actually. This isn't fun.
Mm.
Um, and so yeah, I find myself if friends are asking to catch up, I'm obviously money conscious for one thing, but another, I'm just like, I don't know. I don't
Why?
know if I want to, because why, like my friend mentioned something a while ago, which I thought was really telling. And she said, I feel like I'm just existing at the moment, and that's not it. And I thought that's kind of really on it, which is like life. We've talked about surviving versus thriving and things like that. And obviously, sometimes you have to just survive. And you don't want to be constantly living for Friday, but every now and then you're like, this is a shit week. I just have to get through it. But
Mm.
that just existing, it's like that reality hitting, and this is probably very privileged to say, but that reality hitting of like so much of your life is dictated by something like money or your health or whatever. And when something changes in a way that hasn't ever happened before, right? So, i.e., what your condition is and what my condition is, it's sort of like I'm just get what's I don't know, other than me seeking work or you growing a baby, what else do we have to do? And it's sort of weird when you dilute life down to that, or not
I
dilute down, boil life down to that. And it's like, is that enough?
I love this. I saw a TikTok the other day that was like about influencers and social media, one of our favorite topics. Um,
Hmm.
but she was saying like about how things are just really glamorized and, selling products and blah, blah, blah. And she was like, going to bougie hotels every 3 months and vlogging it on social media is not normal. Um, getting sent a whole truckload of makeup beauty products that you can give away is not normal. Um, like she was talking about like what influencers get and do and how that's not normal, but that's what's oversaturated in our feeds, in our on TV, on shows, on
Yeah.
films, on everything. And coming back to that is not normal. Like what is normal is waking up and not wanting to walk down the stairs to make yourself a cup of coffee because you're tired. You
Mm.
know what I mean? Like I was like, oh, I love this. And that's kind of like reminding me of that. I wish I had it at hand to like do it justice because I don't think I've explained it very well, but that really like hit a spot in me that was like, oh yeah, there's all these things in front of our nose all the time that make us compare ourselves to something that we think we need or to have. And when you were talking, I was thinking of all the coaching industry people that are like, oh, be grateful for what you have and how can you find beauty in the small things and in the mundane stuff? All stuff we've kind of talked about and stuff that we do do sometimes. But that's also hard when you are in the thick of it to think about sunshine and rainbows all the time, isn't it? And it's not realistic to consistently be like, where's my silver lining
Well, I
every
think also
everything.
there's this thing of be grateful for what you have. And there's that thing of going, who says I'm not?
Mm,
Why can both not be true? It's like I am so grateful to my friends because I'm able to stay and have a roof over my head and be warm and dry and have water and electricity and all these wonderful things. And that doesn't mean that I should be bouncing around grinning all the time, right? It also means that like when you have a law, you're still allowed to have down days too, obviously, as well. Like being grateful doesn't supersede everything else. Be grateful. It's kind of like, look, I'm glad I'm not going hungry, but this is a really bland meal. Like, and someone just goes, be grateful. What it says is, it sometimes is misused to the point of never ask for more, never desire more,
yeah.
never expect more. Now, if all you do is that, that's a problem. You're going to be unhappy. But I know I'm a grateful person. I'm so like me and Jess, if we cook a fun meal together and then we use our leftovers creatively the next day. I don't like wasting and I like being clever and creative with that, regardless of what money is coming in and out of my bank account, because I respect food and that it's not easy for everyone. And like I'm grateful for that.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that then I could also be unhappy about the weather that day or upset that I didn't get a job I'd applied for and like, oh, well, you should be grateful you have. Who says I'm not?
Mm,
Who says I'm not grateful for what I have? Doesn't mean I can't be disappointed that there was something else I really wanted and I didn't get,
mm,
you know? It's a funny, yeah, I am grateful and I want more. Sometimes that's okay.
yeah. I have um an example of that, which was my recent um baby shower where I was feeling two completely of the same of the two feelings at one time. I've had this actually quite a lot this whole year, to be fair, the two
Mm,
feelings at once. But and you know that I love to talk about polaricalness all the time, but yeah, that was pretty like heightened feelings of extreme disappointment and discomfort and overwhelm, while at the same time extremely loved and grateful and all the effort that my people had put in. And yeah, it's pretty wild. I don't really know how to go with it or sit with it. I don't know what I did, but I just it just happened. It just
mm,
happened and I felt both. And then here I am.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's an interesting thing, isn't it? Because it's like if someone was at their wedding or something and maybe a parent had passed or couldn't be there because they're ill or something, is anyone going to say to them, "You're so ungrateful because you're sad, you know, your dad couldn't walk you down the aisle"? No, everyone would understand that. And you could still be so happy. But there's that, I mean, it makes me actually think of Inside Out, how memory can be happy and sad at the same time. And that's not a bad thing. And we chase away. I think sometimes there's this real thing of gratitude and rah, and it's like absolutely practice it, but that doesn't mean it, it's don't use it as some rug to go over other stuff, you know. um so yeah, it's an interesting one to get onto, but yeah, I think that's it, is I think when I'm in the bad space or struggling and it's feeling very futile, I do think that is something that helps me through for sure, having people who will listen, sympathetic ear, and having safe places to be. Of course, I'm grateful for that, but and that can kind of help me feel like I'll be okay. But there's almost that thing of like, I had my birthday recently and I had a really lovely time. And there's almost that thing of when you have lovely things, maybe this ties into yours, when lovely things happen, it almost sometimes aches like, if only I wasn't, this wasn't fleeting, or like there was tomorrow I'm gonna still wake up and not have work. And this is so fun right now, but it doesn't make the other stuff disappear. And there can be a bit of an ache there where you're like, I do just want to be happy. And I don't know whether that ties into the baby shower, but sometimes there's that thing of going like, yeah, sometimes good, grateful, happy things can sort of make you sad in a weird way. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm finding it hard to sort of like come full circle with the holding the two feelings at once, because I'm also at the same time trying to reflect on the examples that I've had and what sort of happened. And to me, I think it is just to when getting through the not even the minty bee, but just when you're in it, it's just been time. It's just been letting actual dust settle and remembering that, you know, when emotions are higher, intelligence is low and all that kind of stuff. Um, but it's been the give it a couple of days or weeks or whatever, and micro walnutting of like, what am I going to do in this moment, in this like right now
Mm,
until the
mm,
next right now? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
and living in the actual moment with small micro choices.
yeah,
Like, does that make
yeah,
sense?
yeah. And those are friggin' hard, man,
And
sometimes.
yeah, and they're hard to
That's the
make.
thing.
Yeah.
Like having a shower. And so you're like, well, for what? I'm not going out.
Yeah. I still haven't brushed
But
my
you
teeth.
know you'll feel better, right? Yeah, yeah. But and you kind of know you feel better, but sometimes you're like, so, maybe I don't want to. Maybe I need to sit in this thing and be filthy and wallow, and then tomorrow I can clean it all off. But sometimes, like we've talked about wallowing and going full in it, but it's really hard when it's not like because I've had a bad day and there's this thing that I just need to feel about, or I've had a really big week, whatever. It's hard when it's just a situation that is ongoing and often, at least not, you know, out of your control kind of thing. Um, and it's sort of like, so yeah, what motivates you when there's no, well, we talk about this, like obligation can really be motivating, right? If people are expecting you, if you're showing up to a job, you
Yeah.
know, you've committed to something. When obligations go away and you kind of like, I at least think I need them. Like I I'm like, well, I don't think we have to just work, live to work. But I also really like, that's the thing, is actually I'm very grateful for what I do and I really want to do it, not just because I need money to survive, but because I love what I do. So I'm sad. I'm sad I can't do it right now. And some days it's not worth going, well, let's apply for another 10 jobs that I may or may not, most likely won't hear back from. Maybe today I just need to sit there and be sad that I'm not doing the thing I love.
Mm. And use your
I don't,
and use your we said earlier offline, Kate, you had this really great one-liner which was stimulation without obligation, which I think
Mm,
just ties in really nicely. And it literally reminds me of something I said to Geordie just before he went to work. Yesterday, this is just like a little story time, Walnut. Yesterday, I had a bad day. I had a headache. I was in bed all day. I had no energy. And I think it's just because we got back from a trip. I was a bit tuckered out. And I just had to. And I felt really bad. Geordie did no, Geordie did all of the things that we were meant to do together and without fuss or anything. Obviously, he was like, please just rest. But this morning I'm feeling better. I'm obviously having this conversation and everything, and in much better spirits. I'm a bit more rested. And I said to Geordie, I was like, thank you so much for all your help yesterday. And don't worry, today I'm gonna vacuum the lounge because I've got someone coming over. I'm gonna do the drawers that I wanted to do, and and said all the stuff to make up for not being able to help you out
mm.
yesterday. And he goes, yeah, that's awesome, Les, but just remember to just take it easy and just look after yourself and rest. I was like, thank you so much. But also it's that it, it makes me feel good when I have a list of stuff that I want to achieve and stimulating myself to get it done. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
lying in bed all day, feeling so tuckered out and tired is it's not the vibe for me. And it's good for me to have something to think about doing that I'm not obliged to do. Like I don't have to vacuum the house. I don't have to be at work at 9 a.m. I don't have to do any of these things, but it stimulates my brain. It's a
But it
task.
also, and it also taps into your identity, which is that you're not inherently someone who like you do like to have that clean around thing and feel like, oh, good in the space and all that kind of thing. You're also a partner and you want to like do your
Privilege.
share, even if
Yeah.
your share's less, But like that's the thing. Like it's so funny what you realize is I can't work, but I've been really realizing I've been doing a lot of the cooking, like really wanting to, because it's like I've got something to do and I like doing it, but it's like, and then I get to be like, here's this thing for my friend who I'm staying with, like, and give back, but not because of just, oh, I'm a bad person otherwise, but I realized no, like I like to do that stuff. And like you say, stimulation without obligation. It's going like, I don't want to just exist. And that does circle back to kind of what my friend was feeling. She's like, I feel like I'm just existing in this space. And I thought, we are not meant to just exist. We're not animal. Even animals need stimulation, go for a walk and whatever. But it's like we really and there is something about them and you're like, oh, okay, well, like you're on maternity leave now and like I'm not working and it's sort of like and then you've got this extra thing of being, tired and understandably so. And it's not like you're like, what's wrong with me? You know what's going on. But it's like, but that's frustrating, fairly so, because it's limiting your ability to behave the way that taps into who you are. And, some of that's just got to be the way it is for a bit. Similar for me is if I can't get work, I can't just rustle up a film crew and do it. But it's like, so what do I do? And
Yeah.
maybe that's what it is. And that's why it's a bit of a meant to be, because it's sort of like not even about, it's just going, well, what does it mean to not do those things? And like, I have to find something else that's within my control to make sure I don't feel like I could just be a cushion on that couch and no different from an inanimate object. Like, no, I don't want that.
Hmm. I love
It's
that. Yeah.
wild.
And in that same breath as well, like a big learning for me through all of this is that I wouldn't call it basking, but really leaning into that couch potato-ness when you just kind of can't. Like there's a line, there's a balance, right? But
Totally.
like yesterday was complete total wipeout, and I had to just be wiped out, and
Yeah.
I didn't have room for being mad at myself or feeling guilty, or they came up, like I said in conversations. I feel really bad that I'm not helping you, and Geordie was like, don't, Les, don't worry. Like I had the reassurance from the people that I needed the assurance from, which is really nice for my little fragile little heart at the moment because everything is I'm so super sensitive. But yeah, there was no other option. It was just
Mm.
be one with the bed or couch or whatever
Yeah.
crevice I was tucked into.
I get that too, right? It's like that thing of I don't want anyone to think that I'm just dossing, like I'm not trying,
Yes.
and taking the piss and just lounging around on my friends' sofas while they go out and work. And I just, because that's like, but that often means I'm not giving credit to those people. And like you say, when you get that thing back from your friend or from Jordy or whoever, like I get, like we know you're trying. And sometimes you have to mindfully not try. You have to rest. You have to, because then you're going to get that energy back too, very, naturally or a bit more realistically, like you say, maybe get some things done off your list because you've rested enough to like have the energy, even if you just do one of those things. Or for me, like I felt a lot more of a bit more energized to like really go on a bit more of a job hunt and make it, because applying for jobs takes a long time, man. Um,
It's
and
draining as well.
it's so
Yeah.
draining. It's so draining. It sounds funny because it's like sitting in a laptop screen, but it's just like it is what it is. But like I haven't been really wanting to, and it was nice that today I did, and I thought probably because I did kind of give myself permission not to, and like I was bristling at the idea if someone sent me like a link to something, I'd be like, it's probably shit. I don't want to, because I just wasn't in the space, and I'm not going to do a good application if I'm not in the space.
Mm.
So yeah, I mean the in the meant to be kind of idea of this is just interesting because it's sort of like tomorrow will be more of the same for both of us. And we're okay. We're doing it. It's not always fun. A lot of it's not fun. And being grateful for what we have is always great, but also just being like, I think sometimes just be proud of ourselves, right? Which is just like I'm striving to do more than exist in a time where it's not easy to do that. I'm proud of myself for that. And maybe that's as good a conclusion as I can come to while I'm in the thick of things still.
I think that's just a really good reflection on actual real life as well. Like
Yeah,
I think like going back to that video about what is and what isn't normal, I feel like that is quite a realistic look on life. We wake up, we
yeah,
go to work, we come home, we have dinner and repeat. Like life is actually like that. Like the arty movies that no one likes to watch because there's no explosions and they're not very colorful and they're not full of the big hallmark kisses at the end. Those movies that have that bit of grit and that little bit of reality to them, they're the ones that we kind of like relate to the most. And they're boring sometimes. And that's just what it is.
I was just thinking, I was like, the movies we like,
Yeah.
basically.
Movies that you and I watch.
Yeah.
But other people don't tend to enjoy. But yeah, that's kind of what where my head went with that. But yeah, that was a really good reflection on just on reality and just getting through it. But I feel like the moral of the story is just keep on and be proud of be proud of the little bits that we can do and be proud that we have the mindset and emotional intelligence enough to know when to wallow and when to make moves and know that we want more and that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Would you have any additional summary?
I guess I'd just to be like, stay tuned. Hopefully, tides turn. Tides turn, man. Pray for me.
I know, yes. And the funny thing is, Walnut and Kate, is that they will. They
They've
absolutely
got to. They've got to,
it
right?
it absolutely will. It's just when you're in it, it feels like forever, and then we'll be laughing about it on the other side. We'll be doing our grateful, manifested post Minty B episodes once
Yeah.
again, and the sun will
Well,
shine.
it'll be another chapter of look, I got through that. And I remind myself of COVID, where it was full of uncertainty and things like that too. And I got through that. It's just And you can look back and be like, gosh, if I'd known the lockdown was going to go on for this long and then I was going to be okay, I probably would have been like way healthier. You know what I mean? I wouldn't have been so like in fight or flight freeze kind of vibes, and just sat on the sofa brushing and eating and drinking. And I'm not doing that as much this time because I can reflect back and I can kind of tell myself, well, that ended. This will end. Um, but some days I need to just have that wine or whatever that I can't afford because I don't earn any money. But anyways, got a lot of wine for my birthday. Thank you,
Priorities.
friends. Yeah.
Priorities.
Um, but yeah, so at some point it'll be a chapter, but I think it's really cool that I would say that was the walnutting, is sometimes being able to talk about things when it's not all wrapped up and buttoned up and the lesson's been learned, and that was why it was a challenge we brought up, which was like, what does it look like when you haven't gone? And then what happened was this, and so now it's great. It's like, I don't know.
It's not great. So I don't have an answer. Yeah, it's just like we just are. Like full stop.
I mean, I'm sure it'll be great at some other point, but I, but it's like, we don't know that yet. And this is
Yeah,
still a real thing. And like continuing on when you don't know is brave, I guess. It's
absolutely.
necessary, but it's brave too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Definitely. I think it's definitely a walnutting. So on that, Kate, what does being a walnut mean to you in relation to being in this?
I think for me, that not giving up is very walnutty, but sometimes also knowing when to give in so you've got the strength to then keep going and not give up, is what I'd say being a walnut is. I think it's actually like a Florence and the Machine lyric. I think she has that. She goes, I'm not giving up, I'm just giving in. And I've always really liked that. So maybe that's what a walnut is right now
I love
for
that.
me.
I love that. That's so good. You've had some bangers today. I'm not gonna lie. Like we need a quote machine or something. Like
That one was Florence and the Machine, but I love it. I love it. It's a good one.
really good.
Yeah.
Where can the Walnuts snoop you if they want to just get a little taste of what you do film wise, or if they just want to follow along in the mundaneness that is life and just want to know a bit more about you?
Well, I don't post a lot. I never really have, but you can find me at Miss K Bromley on Instagram. Funnily enough, though, I guess it depends where you are in the world, but have a look anyway, as I've got a short film that's on Amazon Prime, short documentary, where the tracks lead, which you have seen. But it's not, I don't think it's available in New Zealand, but if you're not listening to New Zealand, check that out. And then yeah, I guess, I mean, and then chat to me on the walnut tree if you want to. I'm on the walnut tree. I keep my eye on that. Um, but yeah, not a lot else to report right now.
Yeah,
Clearly.
it's a vibe. It's a thing, isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I love it. It's just I'm like waiting for this big like crescendo, but
No.
Walnut, there's not one. This is just one of those episodes. But I think there are a lot. We've talked to lots of little nuggies. And Walnut, I would not be shocked if you are feeling very similarly to Kate and I. So if you do, just know we're in this together. And yeah, the Walnut Tree, that's a space for us on the internet to just, if you need a vent, if you want to just go on a live video and just like have a word vom, or even if you just want to brag about yourself in one of the threads or something like that. That's a space that I've created for us for times like this, especially, like it's not a box of fluffies all the time. So Walnut, on that, thank you so much for for your time. And if you have any questions or any commentary, get in touch with Kate and I, and I'm sure we would be happy to answer questions on the next episode. Stay tuned for post this. And Kate, as usual, thank you so much for coming on. Um, like I love you, and I'm a bit baffled because I'm like, this is such a weird episode, but I'm actually really
Yeah.
enjoying myself. Um, But yeah, thank you for your time as always and advice and all the things. And I love you so much.
I love you. Thank you.
Have a happy Walnut Wednesday, and I will talk to you next week.